I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. It begins!
Save the tiger. Comes the hellic combat, Zoids, Shieldliger. Lions like Zoid may be our solution. Shield technology revolution. Shieldligers are strong, but we must improve. Great sabers dominance we must disprove. With twin beam cannons arise and break through. Strong successor, the Shieldligers Mark II. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. Shieldligers Mark II, great saber you snuff. Shieldligers Mark II, gold fangs of metal. Shieldligers Mark II, see the boss you settle. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. Shieldligers Mark II, gold fangs of metal. Shieldligers Mark II, see the boss you settle. Shieldligers Mark II, black steel legs and golden cross even through. Blue circuits and inner working surge power. Face the great sabers in the Zoid war hour. Great sabers are the new saber tigers, built to crush the blue and gray Shieldligers. Black armor and blood red steel composed. The frost Shieldligers Mark II will expose. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. Shieldligers Mark II, great saber you snuff. Shieldligers Mark II, gold fangs of metal. Shieldligers Mark II, see the boss you settle. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. A pilot at the controls commands the Zoid. Shieldligers Mark II, make our foes destroyed. Fire twin beam cannons and missile powered energy shield sets you above the gods. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. Shieldligers Mark II, great saber you snuff. Shieldligers Mark II, gold fangs of metal. Shieldligers Mark II, see the boss you settle. Shieldligers Mark II, white steel armor tough. Shieldligers Mark II, great saber you snuff. Shieldligers Mark II, gold fangs of metal. Shieldligers Mark II, see the boss you settle.
Was a time full of wonder, without war, hate, and enemy. Now you can sense rolling thunder and the magic that's no longer free. In the night I feel them calling from far beyond the sea. Soon comes the time of destruction, when the war began to rise. Weapons with melted with wonder before war began to rise.
Zoidstar, the blue Zoids face collapse. The Guardian army reduced to scraps. With their machine leaders, now they must act. Fire up the blue Zoid factories, contact. New Zoids must be built to replace our lost. But fate intervenes to leave wires crossed. These renegades don't obey or follow. Their vile machine spirits are hollow. Hollow. Shieldliger, blue lion monster machine. Shieldliger, renegade beast of sea. Shieldliger, horses steel with cyber soul. Shieldliger, cybernetic feline hole. Shieldliger, blue lion monster machine. Shieldliger, renegade beast of sea. Shieldliger, horses steel with cyber soul. Shieldliger, cybernetic feline hole. A failed design, the renegade Zoids, savage and uncontrollable beast droids, vicious monster machines with no reason. Their mere existence is pure steel treason. Shieldliger prowls Zoidstar like a terror. His cybernetic mind coded in error. With laser guns and rockets he now hunts. Shieldliger makes snarls, roars, howls, and grunts. Shieldliger, blue lion monster machine. Shieldliger, renegade beast of sea. Shieldliger, horses steel with cyber soul. Shieldliger, cybernetic feline hole. But the Shieldliger finds his steel Zoid prey. Renegades find fit ambush to his dismay. On Zoidstar, these wayward monster machines fight amongst themselves on a radar screen. Shieldliger, blue lion monster machine. Shieldliger, renegade beast of sea. Shieldliger, horses steel with cyber soul. Shieldliger, cybernetic feline hole. Shieldliger, blue lion monster machine. Shieldliger, renegade beast of sea. Shieldliger, horses steel with cyber soul. Shieldliger, cybernetic feline hole.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.